Welcome to the GSIP online training program. Today's module is entitled Welcome to LEAN. The purpose of this module is to give the student a basic understanding of the LEAN methodology. From my perspective, LEAN consists of four main elements. Reduced travel. Travel is the distance. I'm going to use this little widget here. And I'm trying to produce these, and I want it to flow through the shortest distance possible. In other words, I don't want it to start at this end of the factory and go to this part of the factory, then back down here, then over here, then back over here. See, that's a lot of distance. That's called travel. Instead, I put them all close together, so I go step 1, step 2, step 3, and I'm done. Very short distance. So that's oftentimes how I start LEAN implementation, is I reduce travel as much as possible. And over time, you may figure out other ways that you can reduce it. Maybe you have one big machine right now that the whole factory uses, and so you're going to have to travel a little bit to get to that machine. So there's some problems there, but any travel is considered waste in LEAN. They like to minimize that as much as possible, get rid of distance as much as possible. And so that's pretty simple. In fact, you'll find all of LEAN is very simple. It's simple academically. It's very difficult to implement. That's what you'll find in most cases. Now, I hope that's not the case for you, but just so you know, it's usually a challenge to implement this stuff, and you have to deal with reality here. But it's kind of fun once you get started. Okay, so we're going to reduce travel. That's part of LEAN. Then we're going to create flow. Flow means the product that you're building just never stops. It never stops. The only time it'll stop, there is one case where you can stop it, and that's if you're adding value. So you might go to step 1 and you paint the part. Okay, and the customer wants it painted. It's painted red, and it sits there while you're painting it. But if you're not adding value to it, it's not allowed to stop. That's a LEAN principle. It's called flow. And in LEAN, if you get something to flow, that it goes through the process and it never stops, no waiting time unless you're adding value to it, whoa, that's a time when you celebrate in LEAN. You're giving each other high fives. You can't believe you created flow. And so, in theory, that sounds real easy, doesn't it? Hey, it just has to keep moving. Sounds real easy. In reality, it's very difficult. I have this one client that is just known to be great at LEAN. They have things flowing through there. It used to take them from the time the customer ordered to the time they delivered the product, 30-some days. Now they're down to less than an hour. Okay, so they are good. But I was surprised when they told me it took them 10 years to experience flow. So just so you know, that's a time to celebrate if you get flow. Now, is it going to take you 10 years? You know what? I hope not, but you have to start somewhere. And did it pay off for them? Oh, yeah, they dominate their industry now. And so you may need to exercise a little bit of patience. Again, I hope that it's not 10 years. I hope that it's more like 6 months or something, or even less. It is possible. But it is a journey. They call it the LEAN journey, and it never ends. You're always improving things. So this is a epic moment when you create flow. Now, then you want to create robust flow. Robust flow, okay, we got it to flow once. Now let's do it so it consistently flows. That means everyone has to do the work in a standard way. Everyone does work the same way every time. Doesn't matter what shift it goes to. Doesn't matter if the temperature changes, humidity changes. You get new operators in. It still flows. That is another epic achievement right there in LEAN, creating robust flow. And that's kind of how it starts. You reduce travel, create flow, create robust flow, and then continually increase velocity over time. What does that mean? Now it not only flows, it never stops, but now it flows quickly. Flows quickly. That's increasing flow. And that's why they call it a LEAN journey, because it never ends. You're always trying to increase velocity. Okay? And what I've found, a lot of people think, well, you can only get so good. What I've found is you get so good, you're using all the technology and principles available, and you can't get any better. And then bang, you get new technology or new methodologies, and you start improving it again. But the market will respond when you need to improve and can't improve anymore. That's been my experience. So in a nutshell, that is LEAN. Reduce travel, create flow, create robust flow, continually increase velocity. Anything that increases travel and stops flow, it's considered to be a waste. That's a waste in lean. And they've identified 7 forms of waste that I'll go over later, but that's what it is. Waste increases travel and stops flow and slows velocity. And anything that does that, anything that inhibits these things is considered waste. And lean is all about getting rid of all the waste in the process. Why? So you can create flow, reduce travel, create robust flow, and continually increase velocity. That's how they went from that company I told you about, from 1 month to less than an hour. Okay, it's amazing. Lean really is amazing. And it's not difficult to talk about. That's it. Okay, we're going to teach you all kinds of tools on how to create and improve upon all these things. But don't get lost in the tools. Always remember the tools are there to help you achieve these 4 elements. And some people just use the tools and they never know what the outcome's supposed to be. So that's why in this class we're saying this is the outcome that you desire. Don't lose track of the goal. And once you get used to it, your lean journey is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It forces you to use your innovation. You get to see improvement over time, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm actually excited for you to begin your lean journey at this point. You're going to learn a lot. What's in it for you? You're going to learn how to implement lean. You're going to be very valuable to your company. And if, let's say, unfortunately, there's ever a layoff or anything, it's going to take you a couple weeks or a week to find another job because your skill set is going to be of such value. So not only are you adding value to your company by participating in this lean transformation, but you're also adding value to you and your career. And it's going to give your families, etc., more opportunities in life. So a great, great opportunity. And I hope you see it as that. Well, let me get off my soapbox here for a little bit. And let's continue to talk about this. Now, here's my factory that I talked about. This is the whole factory floor. Notice we have a lot of travel here, so that's the first thing you can see. Well, we could really reduce travel. Notice I start at the receiving dock. I carry it all the way up here. I bring it down to step 2, and I just kind of wander around the factory. And it's not good. Sometimes you'll see it goes here, then clear back there, and clear back here, and there's all kinds of travel. And that's a waste. Remember, that's the first step, is to reduce travel. So as you can see, we've reduced travel here. And not only that, we have 5 steps. We did have 9. So we've combined steps, reduced unnecessary steps, and reduced the travel time. So that's that first element in lean, is reduce travel. Now we try to create flow. And let me go to the camera here for a minute and show you some examples of what can happen to stop flow. Because anything that stops flow is against the principles of lean. So let's do that right now. All right, so here we are, and let me get that in the full picture here. I got it blown up a little too much. There we go. So I put this down here so I can manipulate it a little bit and show you some things that happen in lean. One thing, a lean principle or a value of lean, is you only produce one at a time. It's called single piece flow. Why? Because if you don't do single piece flow, you stop flow. Let me show you how that works. So I have 5 widgets here that the customer's ordered. And I line them all up, and it comes in the receiving dock right there, and I take them up to step number 1. And now I'm going to build all 5 of these in step 1. It's called lot production or batch production. Batch production and lot production is an enemy to flow. Therefore, it would be considered a waste. Okay, and so here I go. I made 1. I'm going to stack the finished over here. So there's 1. But I'm not going to move that 1. I'm not going to move this to step number 2 till I have all 5 of those completed. That's called batch processing. And like I say, that's an enemy to the value or principles of lean. Why? Because it's sitting here. It's not flowing. That's not good in lean. It's not flowing. So here I build number 2 part is built in step 1. Step 3 gets all the value added, or part 3. There's part 4, and then there's part 5. But while I'm building all 5 of those parts are sitting there. I have destroyed the flow of the product. That's not a good thing in lean. And so if you're to become a lean thinker, when you see things not flowing, you start getting concerned. So now we bring them down to step number 2, and we go through the same thing, but they're sitting here while other parts are being built. So what lean likes to do is you may bring all these over here, then you go to step 1. Okay, I finished step 1. Okay, then move it on. And then this one's here, and it just keeps going through. See, and it starts flowing. It starts flowing. But you can't have flow if you do batch production. Now your production line, it may be you have, for example, your plastic mold injection, and it has 3 parts that come out. Then you may want to call 3 parts your single piece flow, okay? Because you don't want to just make one usually. But the closer you get to the ideal of lean, to where you just have 1 part flowing through, the more you're going to experience flow, and the more efficient your process is going to become. And so that's one example of something that can stop flow. Of course, there's many things that can stop flow. Another one is you're building parts through here, and let's say it is lean, so it's single piece flow, and I come over here and I violate a spec limit. So I have to set this one off to the side and wait for it to be reworked. Well, it's just sitting there. It's not flowing. Anything that doesn't flow is a signal to lean operators that something's wrong here. We don't like this. We need to fix it. And you're going to remember, it's a lean journey, so it's not as if you're going to reach perfection overnight, or if ever. But you'll have to say, okay, what do I need to do so we don't violate spec limit? Let's fix the system. And that's a part of lean also. Fix the system, not fix the people, trying to make the people perfect, but fix the system. Whatever happened there that made this scrap, let's fix it, so no matter who's operating the machine, it's not going to create a bad part. Okay? And that's called poka-yoke. Poka-yoke means fix the system, don't blame the person. Make the system so robust that it can't create a bad part. And we're always trying to fix the system. And we see all problems as system problems. That's part of lean. I never said it was going to be that it wasn't going to make it, you're not going to have to change to do lean. You are. You're going to have to change in the way you think, or else this won't work. You'll never get from that 1 month to 30 under an hour like that one company that I exampled if you don't follow the rules. It's a matter of following rules. So that's another thing. Bad parts will definitely stop flow. Okay, another principle of lean is this. Let me get my parts out here. They've already made it through the process. You never build more than the customer orders. Okay, that's another principle of lean. Just build what the customer orders, period. Because if you don't, you get through building it, and what does it do? It sits in inventory for how long? I don't know, maybe a year. Whoa, that's destroying flow. So you only want to build what the customer orders. Now there is a leap of faith here. You'll say, no way, we can't do that. Well, then you won't experience lean, and you won't experience the performance of lean. You have to change the way you think, or else it just won't work. And that's the hardest part of lean implementation, is changing the way people think. Now, if you're taking this class for a transformation of your company, your leadership already understands this, and we've already talked to them about what they need to do to keep things moving. So everything should hopefully work well. But it won't work perfect, so be patient. I can't overemphasize that. Now, that can be a challenge. Let's say the customer orders 5 parts here. So you bring out 5 pieces of raw material, and you run all through single piece flow. It flows through, and it goes to the receiving dock, and the truck's waiting for it, and it ships it off, and you're ready to go. But that's all you build is 5, because that's all they ordered. Well, the first one was red. Now they've ordered 5 more black ones. Oh, I don't want to do that, because now I have to reset up my machinery, so I should build as many of these as I can, because I think I'm going to sell these next week. No, that's against the principles of lean. And it's the ideals of lean. I'm not saying you're going to meet all the ideals of lean, but you need to at least understand what the ideals of lean are, and you must always strive to meet the ideals of lean if you're going to be a lean company. So, okay, the problem with the black parts is I have to set up new fixtures on step 3, step 6, and step 9. Oh, that takes time. Well, in lean, they have this thing called SMED, single minute exchange of die. So you figure out how to change the equipment very quickly for this new product. And so you quickly change those, implementing single minute exchange of die. Then you build the 5 black ones. Then the next day they order 5 red ones. Okay, change the machinery back very quickly again, and let's build those 5. But you only build what the customer orders. It's a principle of lean. If you don't follow the principles of lean, you don't get the results of lean. Anyway, hopefully that's helping you understand what lean is all about. Okay, and then increasing velocity. They'll increase velocity by they'll reduce travel. They'll combine steps, and then they'll figure out ways to increase the flow. How can I increase the speed of the flow? And one of those is motion. So if I'm reaching up here to get something to make this red, and I have to walk way over here and grab it, the movement of people is called motion. So you're reaching up here to get it, you bring it down here. So you bang, bang, bang. See what I see? That reducing motion increases velocity. And they also have it where step 1's here, step 2's here, step 3 here. So it's sometimes in a U-shaped pattern to increase velocity. Because if you don't, you have to step over, and that takes time. Can you see how we're really looking at increasing velocity? They'll even change the shape of the production line so it's quicker. And a U-shaped work cell is one of the things they find to be very efficient. So that kind of goes on with lean. Okay, let's go back to the PowerPoint and finish up our discussions on the principles of lean. Now, we're back to the PowerPoint here. Reduce travel by reducing the number of steps and minimizing. You can also combine steps is another way to help increase velocity. But now there's a lot less travel, and if you keep continuous flow and increased flow over time and robust flow, man, you're going to have this wonderful operation. Now, what do you have to do over time? When you see a problem, you have to turn that problem in, and they'll get a team, and you'll probably be part of that team to fix the problem. We're always fixing the problem. Work is improving work. That's what lean is. You're always improving the work. You're always improving the flow. And like I said, it's going to be a little bit hard for you to get used to, but over time it's a lot more fun, and it makes you much more valuable. I always like to remind students, hey, what's in it for you? You become more valuable. And of course your company becomes more valuable also. And so everyone wins with lean. Okay, let's just review here. Waste is something that increases travel distance, stops flow, and reduces velocity. That's what waste is in lean. Lean identifies 7 forms of waste. These forms of waste are listed here. Overprocessing. That's when you do more than the customer wants. So you may have that red part that I had, and you want to put a pinstripe on it. And the customer's like, you can put a pinstripe on it if you want, but don't charge me for it. So that's non-value added. You're adding more to the process than the customer's willing to pay for. Overprocessing. Transportation, we already talked about that. That's the travel. You want to try to reduce transportation. If you can get rid of it, that's even better. Now, can you really get rid of it? Probably not completely, but that's the ideal, to get rid of all transportation, all that travel. Get rid of all of it. And so that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Again, that's the ideal. We shoot for the ideal, and we usually come up a little bit short, but we'll have these excellent organizations. Motion is the movement of people. Okay, instead of having it up here, put it down here. Reduce the movement. Put it in a U-shaped, so we just have to spin on the balls of our feet. Don't make it to where we have to walk away. Okay, that's reducing motion. Reducing motion increases velocity is what it does. Inventory, we already talked about that. That's that work in process where we build not in single piece, but we build in lots. So they're just sitting there waiting for you. Inventory creates wait time. And waiting is a waste because remember, we want to keep things flowing. Okay, so that's the waiting time. Oftentimes the waiting time comes from these other things. But if you're just sitting there waiting for a product, it's just sitting there, that's waiting time. For whatever reason, it's waiting time. That's waste. So as a lean person, a lean thinker, you have to say, why is this sitting here? Well, it's because we're building in batches. Okay, try to reduce the size of the batch so it doesn't sit there as long. We want to keep this thing flowing, remember. That's the ultimate goal, is flow. We have to create flow. And there needs to be a tenacity and a passion to create flow. Easy to talk about, not easy to do. So we do not like seeing things sitting there. As a lean person, when you see something just sitting there, you need to go fix it. You have to have this desire to fix it. So it's a new way of thinking. Defect, we've already talked about that. If you get a bad part, it just sits there till you fix it. That destroys flow. So you have to take care of that. And you have other people in your organizations that may have to help with that, because sometimes that can be rather complex, but not always. And defect, or defectives, you have these people called Six Sigma. They may be able to help you fix those things. So keep that in mind, but that will definitely stop flow. Overproduction. Overproduction is when you build more than the customer wants and it goes in inventory, and what does it do? It sits there. That's not good because it destroyed flow. You want to get it in, put it on the truck, and get it out of there. The goal is, from a company perspective, is from the time the customer places the order to the time you get paid is a smaller distance. And to do that, you have to obviously add all the value. So you have to get it through there as quickly, but you don't sit it on the shelf. That's a waste. Overproduction is a waste. Then some organizations add number 8, which I think is a legitimate form of waste. Some organizations add underutilizing employee talents. Everyone listening to this has a skill, I know you do, and you can see something sitting there and say, I think I can solve this problem. But a lot of companies don't utilize those talents. So people hide the talents. It doesn't do the company any good. And so that's definitely a waste, is not using that. You can't do lean. You can't make it go from 30 days to under an hour if you don't utilize employee talents. That's just a fact of life. And what are we doing? We're trying to prepare you so you can implement your talents and learn different skills. I think you're really going to enjoy the class. I really do. All right, so from my perspective, let's just review. Lean consists of 4 main elements: reduce travel, reduce distance, create flow, low batch size, and reducing waste creates flow. That's, like I say, that's a high five moment for your team. That's a time to celebrate when you experience flow. Be prepared, be patient, but be tenacious, because it will take a little bit of time. Create robust flow. Create and follow standard work. So you're going to write these standard work instructions that if you're working on this part, this is specifically what you do, and you train everyone to do it the same way. Now, you may come up with a better way of doing it. That's wonderful. You just submit it to your leaders, and they'll say, hey, that's a great idea. They'll implement it, usually within a couple weeks, and then you'll change the standard work. But if you don't have standard way of doing things, things are out of control because everyone's doing everything differently. You have to create consistency in lean. That's a lean principle. You have to follow standard work. Then if you want to experiment with something, let your leaders know, and they'll let you experiment. If you show that it's better, they'll update the standard work. But you have to follow standard work. If you're not willing to follow standard work, the lean organization is probably not an organization you're going to enjoy working in, and you may want to take your career in another direction. And that's hard to get used to, so I understand that. Trust me, I do. All right, continually increase velocity by continually reducing the 7 forms of waste. And the rest of the class is just going to teach you how to do this. It's going to give you a lot of tools to help you realize these ideals. And that's the goal of the Lean class. I hope you enjoy it. Congratulations, you have almost completed this module. However, remember, you still need to complete the module exam. If you have any questions, please contact me and I'll get back with you as soon as possible. Congratulations, you have completed this module. I hope you have learned something new that will enhance your career. Thank you, and goodbye.